Chevy just dropped a real bombshell about the 2027 Silverado, and surprisingly, it isn't the horsepower. GM has officially confirmed an entirely new generation of small block V8s, including a 5.7-liter and a 6.6-liter. And the real story is what GM may or may not have quietly done to the technology underneath them. Because if these engines address the problems Silverado owners have been complaining about for years, this could genuinely be one of GM's biggest V8 moves in decades. For the last decade, automakers have stacked technology on top of technology. Cylinder deactivation, variable valve timing, layers of oil control software, all in the name of squeezing out a little more efficiency. Early information points to a new 6th-generation small block V8 with a major focus on durability and mechanical refinement. But there's an important question here. Has GM actually moved away from the complexity associated with its previous cylinder deactivation systems, or has it simply redesigned the technology? That answer could be one of the most important details about these new engines. Let's talk about why this is happening. For years, GM leaned on active fuel management, then dynamic fuel management, to hit tougher fuel economy and emissions targets. Shut down half the cylinders when you don't need them, and the V8 basically becomes a V6 or even a 4-cylinder while cruising. On paper, that sounds great. Better mileage, same power when you need it. But out in the real world, especially with truck owners who actually work their vehicles, the downsides piled up. Rough transitions, questionable long-term reliability, and a nagging feeling that the system was working against the engine instead of with it. The 2027 Silverado is bringing an all-new engine architecture with a major focus on durability and refinement. This isn't a small update, it's a serious reset in philosophy. But here's where things get really interesting. What exactly did GM change under the hood? One of the biggest questions surrounding the new V8 is what GM has done with cylinder deactivation. The company has not publicly confirmed every detail of the system yet, so it's too early to say that AFM or DFM is completely gone. What we can say is that GM has redesigned the V8 architecture with durability and efficiency in mind, and the exact approach to cylinder deactivation could have a major impact on how buyers view these engines. That matters more than it sounds. Cylinder deactivation has been tied, fair or not, to lifter failure concerns that have followed GM trucks for years. Whether every engine actually suffered from it or not, the reputation stuck, and it's shaped buying decisions among everyday owners and fleet buyers alike. If GM has genuinely rethought that hardware, it could address two problems at once. It simplifies the engine, and it rebuilds trust with buyers who've been burned before. If GM has reduced or redesigned some of the hardware associated with the previous system, that could mean less mechanical complexity in critical areas of the valve train. And in theory, fewer components means fewer failure points, more straightforward servicing, and more predictable long-term durability. But until GM releases the complete engineering specifications, those remain potential advantages, not guarantees. This is exactly what longtime truck owners have been begging for. An engine that acts like the tough, no-nonsense workhorses of the past. Durability doesn't stop at the valve train, though. Trucks like the Silverado aren't just daily commuters, they're tools. They tow, they haul, they idle for hours, and they get pushed hard in brutal conditions. GM has also emphasized durability with these new engines, suggesting that the redesigned architecture is built to handle higher loads and tougher operating conditions over time. That points toward improvements in areas such as the bottom end, lubrication, and cooling, although GM has not yet released every internal specification. Put simply, GM isn't just refreshing this engine, they're clearly putting durability much higher on the priority list. That tells you exactly where their priorities are: real-world toughness over lab-tested efficiency numbers. It's a strategy built for contractors, fleet managers, and rural drivers who put their trucks through the ringer every single day. Now let's talk about the actual lineup, because this is where the story gets concrete. GM has confirmed that the 2027 Silverado 1500 will get two all-new small-block V8s, a 5.7-liter and a 6.6-liter. That is a major change from the familiar 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter combination we've known for years. And it shows GM isn't simply tweaking the existing V8s, It's moving to an entirely new V8 generation. GM is moving to larger displacement, and the company says these new engines are designed to deliver more power, more torque, and improved durability across the board. The exact horsepower and torque ratings haven't been fully released yet, so some of the numbers circulating online should be treated as estimates rather than confirmed specifications, and the power gains could be significant. GM has confirmed that both new V8s will deliver more power and torque than the engines they replace, but the final horsepower and torque ratings are still the numbers everyone is waiting for. That means some of the higher horsepower estimates circulating right now are interesting, but they should remain estimates until Chevrolet publishes the official figures. This isn't just about bragging rights on a spec sheet. More displacement gives GM more room to build strong, low-end torque, particularly when the engine is working under load. That can mean less strain when you're loaded down and steadier performance throughout the rev range. These are gains you'll actually feel behind the wheel, not just numbers you'll read online. Through all of this, the Silverado isn't losing its identity as a work truck. The current Silverado 1500 can already deliver serious towing capability, and GM says the new generation powertrains are being engineered with increased capability in mind. But until Chevrolet releases the final 2027 towing ratings, we shouldn't assume exactly how much higher that ceiling will go. On the transmission side, the 2027 Silverado is expected to continue using GM's established automatic transmission strategy, but the exact transmission combinations and calibrations will depend on the final engine lineup and trim structure. What matters most is how GM matches the new V8's torque curves to gearing, because that will determine how these trucks actually feel under load. So what does all of this actually feel like from behind the wheel? If cylinder deactivation has genuinely been rethought and displacement is up, drivers should notice more predictable throttle response, a more consistent engine feel and sound, less hesitation when you're loaded up, and more confidence towing or hauling heavy. These are the kinds of improvements that never show up on a window sticker but make a real difference every time you drive the truck. Here's why this whole shift actually matters. The rest of the industry is racing towards smaller turbocharged engines, hybrid systems, and electrification. GM seems to understand that full-size trucks play by different rules. Truck buyers care about long-term reliability, simple maintenance, proven mechanical designs, and performance that holds up under real stress. By completely redesigning the V8 architecture and putting a major emphasis on durability, GM is leaning hard into exactly those priorities. That could ultimately turn out to be a genuinely brilliant move. While other automakers chase efficiency through added complexity, GM might win buyers over with something that's getting harder and harder to find: a powerful, durable engine built for the long haul. Of course, nothing in engineering comes completely free. A redesigned engine architecture could mean real trade-offs in highway fuel economy or emissions compared to the systems it replaces. The interesting question is whether GM can improve real-world durability without giving up too much efficiency. That's the trade-off these new engines will have to prove in the real world. GM is clearly putting a major emphasis on durability, but whether that translates into fewer long-term problems is something only time and actual owners will ultimately confirm. Step back, and this move becomes much more interesting. For generations, the small block V8 succeeded because it was powerful, adaptable, and relatively straightforward. Now GM is taking that basic formula into a completely new generation. We know the 5.7-liter and 6.6-liter V8s are coming. We know GM is promising more power, more torque, and improved durability. But we still don't know every detail hiding underneath the valve covers, and that's where the real story begins. If GM has genuinely addressed the complexity and durability concerns that have followed its previous truck V8s, this could be a huge win for Silverado buyers. So here's the real question. Would you rather have a smaller, more efficient engine packed with technology, or a bigger, tougher V8 designed around durability and long-term confidence? And if you were buying a 2027 Silverado, would you choose the new 5.7-liter, step up to the 6.6-liter, or skip the V8 altogether? Let us know what you think in the comments.